So the types of personality and work environment has at least 6 factors. It is realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional in nature. So the social economic theory is the theory that gives detailed explanation and description of how one's culture, family background, social and economic conditions, and other factors outside an individual's control strongly influence one's identity, values, and overall human and career development. It is also known as chance theory and accident theory. Through this theory, the employee can choose the best opportunity and career development path. So social economics is a branch of economics and the social science that focuses on the relationship between social behavior and economics. It examines how social norms, ethics, emerging popular sentiment, and other social philosophies influence consumer behavior and therefore shape public buying trends. Social economics uses history, current affairs, events, politics, and other social sciences to predict social trends that could potentially impact the economy. At times, the theories of social economics diverge from conventional economic theories. The theories of social economics often consider factors that are outside the focus of mainstream economics, including the effect of the environment and ecology on consumption and wealth. Social economics is a branch of economics and the social science that focuses on the relationship between social behavior and economics. The theories of social economics often consider factors that are outside the focus of mainstream economics, including the effect of the environment and ecology on consumption and wealth. Social economics may attempt to explain how a particular social group or social economic class behaves within a society, including their actions and as consumers. Social economics is also referred to as socioeconomics, understanding primarily concerned with the interplay between social process and economic activity within a society. It may attempt to explain how a particular social group or social economic class behaves within a society, including their actions as consumers. Different social economic classes may have different priorities regarding how they direct their funds. A socioeconomic class is a group of people with similar characteristics, and these characteristics can include social and economic standing, a level of education, current profession, and ethnic background or heritage. Certain goods or services may be unavailable to specific socio-economic classes based on their ability to afford them as a result of their income. These goods or services can include access to more advanced or complete medical care, educational opportunities, and the ability to buy food that meets specific nutritional guidelines. So through this theory, the employee can choose the best opportunity and career development path. Next is the development theory. The emergence of development, which is comprising of super theory, social learning theory, decision making theory, and cognitive theory. The emergence of development theory, use of the term development is to refer to national economic growth emerged in the United States beginning in the 1940s and an association with the key American foreign policy concern. How to shape the future of the newly independent states in ways that would ensure that they would not be drawn into the communist Soviet bloc. Motivated by this concern, the United States enlisted its social scientists to study and devise ways of promoting capitalist economic development and political stability in what was termed the developing world. Development theory refers to the research and writing that resulted from this effort. There are different conceptions of development and consequently disparate approaches to the subject. However, all approaches are concerned with the relationship between development and governance. Development is usually seen as crucially determined by structures of governance. Governance is interpreted through and shaped by the goal of development. Most development theory equates development with national economical growth and sees the state as a primary agent. Consequently, one of its central concerns is to understand and explain the role of the state in development and the nature of government-market relations. Because these expectations relate development outcomes to the extent and form the state role in development. There is a close relationship between development theory and practice. And development theory has changed over time with changes in ideology and international environment. And as it changes, so do its conceptions and developments and governance and how they are related. Changing conceptions of governance and its relation to development can be traced through the major perspectives on development that has emerged since World War II, as represented by theories of modernization and growth, dependency and world system theories, the resurgence of neoclassical theory and an array of neocritical perspectives. Super's theory, the theory propounded by Donald Super. The theory speaks about the occupational maturity. People seek career satisfaction through work role in which they can express themselves and implement and develop their self-concept. Career maturity is manifested in the successful accomplishment of age and state development tasks across the lifespan. Self-concept is an underlying factor in this theory, and self-concept develops through physical and mental growth, observation of work, identification with co-workers, general environment and general experiences. So, super theory is surrounded by various aspects, and it is speaking about different areas like occupational maturity and career satisfaction and successful accomplishment of age and stage developmental task and self-concept, etc. And Super's contribution is the formation of stages and developmental tasks over the lifespan. So, at least 5 factors can be decided, and from growth to exploratory to establishment, maintenance and decline. So, birth to 14 falls under the growth category, where form self-concept, develop capacity, attitudes, interests and needs, form a general understanding in the world of work. So, this is between the age group of 0 to 14. And exploratory is try out through classes, work experience, hobbies, collect relevant information, tentative choice and related skill development. This is between the age group of 15 to 24. And entry skill building and stabilization through work experiences is part of establishment, which is falling under the age group 25 to 44. And continual adjustment process to improve position as far as the maintenance stages in the age group of 45 to 64. And reduced output prepare for retirement, and it is at the declining stage, which is 65 plus. So, this is how the super theory or the super's contribution is formed. Next is social learning theory. Social learning theory is developed by Krumbolz, and it says that people choose their career based on what they have learned from the society. There will be certain behaviors as models and motivating factors, and Krumbolz has developed this theory based on social learning or environmental conditions and events, genetic influence and experiences. So, it is a theory of learning process and social behavior, which proposes that new behaviors can be acquired by observing and imitating others. It states that learning is a cognitive process that takes place in a social context and can occur purely through observation or direct instruction, even in the absence of motor production or direct reinforcement. In addition to the observation of behavior, learning also occurs through the observation of rewards and punishments, a process known as vicarious reinforcement. When a particular behavior is rewarded regularly, it will most likely persist. Conversely, if a particular behavior is constantly punished, it will most likely desist. The theory expands on traditional behavioral theories, in which behavior is governed solely by reinforcements by placing emphasis on the important roles of various internal processes in the learning individual. Social learning theory draws heavily on the concept of modeling as described. Bandura outlined 3 types of modeling stimuli, that is live models where a person is demonstrating the desired behavior, and verbal instruction in which an individual describes the desired behavior in detail and instructs the participant to engage in the behavior, how to engage in the behavior. Next is symbolic, in which modeling occurs by means of the media including movies, television, internet, literature and radio. Stimuli can be either real or fictional characters. Exactly what information is gleaned from observation is influenced by the type of model as well as a series of cognitive and behavioral processes including attention. In order to learn, observers must attend to the modeled behavior. Experimental studies have found that awareness of what is being learned and the mechanisms of reinforcement greatly boost learning outcomes, and attention is impacted by characteristics of the observer. Example, perceptual abilities, cognitive abilities, arousal, past performance and characteristics of the behavior or event. Example can be relevance, novelty, affective valence and functional value. In this way, social factors contribute to attention. The prestige of different models affects the relevance and functional value of observation and therefore modulates attention. Next is retention. In order to reproduce an observed behavior, observers must be able to remember features of the behavior. Again, this process is influenced by observer characteristics, that is cognitive capabilities, cognitive rehearsal and event characteristics, that is complexity. The cognitive process underlying retention are described by Bandura as visual and verbal, where verbal descriptions of models are used in more complex scenarios. Reproduction. By reproduction, Bandura refers not to the propagation of the model but the implementation of it. This requires a degree of cognitive skill and may in some cases require sensory motor capabilities. Reproduction can be difficult because in the case of behaviors that are reinforced through self-observation, besides improvements in sports, it can be difficult to observe behavior well. This performance on this can require the input of others to provide self-correcting feedback. Newer studies and feedback support this idea by suggesting effective feedback which would help with observation and correction improves the performance and participation on task. Next comes motivation. The decision to reproduce or refrain from reproducing an observed behavior is dependent on the motivations and expectations of the observer, including anticipated consequences and internal standards. Bandura's description of motivation is also fundamentally based on environmental and thus social factors, since motivational factors are driven by the functional value of different behaviors in a given environment. Evolution and cultural intelligence. Social learning theory has more recently applied alongside and been used to justify the theory of cultural intelligence. The cultural intelligence hypothesis argues that humans possess a set of specific behaviors and skills that allow them to exchange information culturally. This hinges on a model of human learning where social learning is the key, and that humans have selected for trials that maximize opportunities for social learning. The theory builds an extant social theory by suggesting that social learning abilities like Bandura's cognitive processes required for modeling correlate with other forms of intelligence and learning. Experimental evidence has shown that humans overestimate behavior compared to chimpanzees, lending credence to the idea that we have selected for methods of social learning. Some academics have suggested that our ability to learn socially and culturally have led to our success as a species. So, social learning in neuroscience has impacted mirror neurons as neurophysiology basis for social learning, observational learning, motor cognition and social cognition. Mirror neurons have been heavily linked to social learning in humans, and mirror neurons were first discovered in primates in studies which involved teaching the monkey motor activity task. One such study focused on teaching primates to crack nuts with a hammer. When the primate witnessed another individual cracking nuts with a hammer, the mirror neuron systems became activated as the primate learned to use the hammer to crack nuts. However, when the primate was not presented with a social learning opportunity, the mirror neuron systems did not activated and learning did not occur. Similar studies with humans also show similar evidence to the human mirror neuron system activating when observing another person perform a physical task. The activation of mirror neuron system is thought to be critical for the understanding of goal-directed behaviors and understanding their intention. Although still controversial, this provides a direct neurological link to understanding social cognition.